Hey guys, tonight we are going to stroll through the tranquil halls of the French royal palace, where morning light softly filters through grand windows, revealing delicate tapestries and quiet whispers of history. Let us breathe in the calm as we explore the gentle rhythms of Catherine de' Medici's mornings, where secrets linger in the aroma of early breakfast. You might think you can breeze through these halls like a royal guest, but honestly, you probably couldn't handle the fancy slippers she wore. They were practically tiny boats for your feet. So before you get comfortable, pick a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I would also love to hear in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you quietly step along the marble floors, you notice how the early sun spills through tall, arched windows, scattering golden patches across the intricate patterns beneath your feet. The walls are adorned with tapestries depicting softly muted scenes of past celebrations, hunting parties, and royal gardens. Each thread seems to hum gently with stories long whispered, stories that you can almost hear if you listen very closely. Catherine's mornings began here, surrounded by the weight of centuries and the softness of light that warmed the cold stone walls. Historians record that she often started her day with a light cup of herbal tea, delicate enough to leave a hint of lavender and chamomile on her palate. But few know that she kept a collection of honeys from all across Europe, tasting each one as if the sun itself had kissed its golden surface, and choosing the one that promised serenity in every drop. You move slowly, almost gliding, as if the floor beneath your feet holds the memory of her gentle steps. You might catch a faint scent of the herbs she so loved, mingling with the sweetness of honey that lingers from breakfast past. The palace is quiet now, not a sound to disturb the calm rhythm of your breathing. The air feels soft against your skin, like a whispered touch, and every detail in the room seems to pause, waiting for the day to awaken fully. In one corner, a small silver tray catches the sunlight just enough to sparkle gently, reflecting fragments of light across the high ceiling. Catherine would have paused there, perhaps lifting her teacup to admire this same fleeting play of light. As you walk past a long corridor lined with tapestries, you notice the faint creak of polished wood beneath each careful step. You might imagine the servants moving silently, attending to morning rituals in rooms hidden behind tall, heavy doors. Some historians still debate whether Catherine actually preferred a strictly regimented breakfast or whether she allowed herself quiet spontaneity. Either way, you can sense that there is intention in her movements, a mindfulness that makes every morning feel like a soft meditation. You breathe slowly, feeling the air cool your cheeks and hearing the almost imperceptible rustle of silk curtains swaying in the breeze. The palace, in this hour, is like a gentle sigh of history, exhaling softly and inviting you to simply exist in its calm. The windows open slightly to the gardens outside, where dew clings delicately to every leaf and flower petal. Imagine the air carrying the faint scent of roses and mint, mingling with the soft earthiness of freshly turned soil. Catherine would have walked along these garden paths before breakfast, letting her mind wander as her fingers brushed the tips of lavender and rosemary. Historians mention her curiosity in herbs, not only for flavor, but for their subtle, soothing qualities. A little-known fact is that she arranged the fruits on her breakfast table by color and scent, almost like a painter choosing the perfect palette. It is a small ritual, yet it conveys a harmony that seems to echo through the quiet halls even centuries later. You pause beside a small fountain, its rippling water whispering softly to your thoughts. Sunlight shimmers across the surface, each delicate splash forming a quiet symphony. Catherine, it's said, began her mornings this way, listening to the murmur of water to center her mind and spirit. The sound feels timeless, serene, like a meditation shared across ages. You move gently, careful not to break the calm, smiling at how even royalty cherished the peace of quiet mornings. In the dining area, silverware and fine porcelain gleam subtly in the sunlight. You might imagine the soft clink of a teacup as Catherine lifts it to sip her morning brew. The historical records are clear that she had a penchant for both simplicity and elegance, blending comfort with grace. Yet, a strange little secret few mention is that she sometimes let tiny petals fall into her tea, believing it enhanced the flavor and added a light, ethereal energy to her morning. It's a practice that seems whimsical now, but in that soft palace light, it feels entirely natural, almost like a quiet joke shared between her and the morning itself. You walk on, past the flickering candlelight softening in the touch of dawn. The air feels warm and unhurried, each surface and thread whispering memories of gentler mornings. Catherine's days began in quiet grace, every motion thoughtful, every breath serene. You sense that rhythm now, the slow pour of tea, the first delicate bite, the stillness before the day. Centuries apart, you move through the same calm, smiling at the shared silence of time. As you drift deeper into this imagined morning, the air and light fall into a gentle rhythm that echoes your breath. The tapestry seems to sway in quiet greeting, carrying the faint scent of honey and herbs. You almost hear the whisper of Catherine's silk gown, her movements calm and graceful. Perhaps she would smile or sigh at our hurried, coffee-soaked mornings, choosing instead tea, honey, and stillness. Here, in this golden calm, you pause, breathe deeply, and let centuries fold softly around you. As you step further into the palace, the soft morning light spills across the polished marble floors, creating long golden streaks that stretch lazily toward the walls. The stone feels cool beneath your bare feet, carrying the faint, smooth scent of aged minerals and history. You notice the way sunlight dances across the intricate patterns etched into each tile, as if the floor itself remembers centuries of gentle footsteps and hushed conversations. In this moment, the palace seems alive, yet hushed, inviting you to move slowly and simply observe. Catherine de' Medici was known to enjoy these early walks, tracing the corridors from her chambers toward the gardens. Historians record that she favored quiet mornings before the palace fully awakened, a time when dew still clung to leaves and the scent of damp earth drifted softly through open windows. You can imagine her long, flowing skirts brushing against the marble, her shoes soft enough not to disturb the subtle echoes of the hall. She would pause occasionally, tilting her head to watch the sunlight hit a particular tapestry, noting the way shadows pooled in gentle folds. It is a simple act, yet it speaks to her mindfulness, an awareness of beauty in every fleeting detail. As you glide through the corridor alongside her imagined presence, you notice the delicate warmth of the sunlight on your skin. It is almost a caress, a slow invitation to breathe deeply and become aware of each sensation. Some historians still debate whether Catherine planned her garden walks meticulously or allowed herself the freedom to wander and daydream. But either way, the effect is the same. A slow, deliberate connection to the environment, a quiet gathering of peace before the day begins. You might even smile, thinking how different it feels from our modern, hurried mornings where coffee is an emergency and emails are a form of stress. The palace windows offer glimpses of the gardens beyond, where perfectly manicured rows of flowers and herbs extend like painterly brush strokes. Catherine took great care in selecting the blooms and greenery for her paths, and she often paused to breathe in their fragrances. Historians note that she preferred to arrange her walks so that she could encounter flowers in a particular sequence, almost as if following a secret path of scent and color designed to gently awaken the senses. A lesser-known fact is that she also chose the fruits for her breakfast with the same intention, arranging them by hue and aroma as if they were small, fragrant jewels meant to influence her mood and energy throughout the day. Imagine stepping onto the garden terrace, where the marble floor transitions smoothly into gravel paths lined with rosebush and lavender. The sun glints off the petals of early blooms, and a light breeze carries their subtle perfume. Catherine would walk slowly here, her steps light, allowing herself to notice the tiniest details. A single dew-laden spiderweb catching the light, a bee pausing on a flower as if it too enjoyed the quiet elegance of the morning. You might even hear the soft rhythmic tapping of a bird's claws on a branch above, a natural percussion accompanying your peaceful journey. You reach a fountain at the center of the courtyard, its water trickling in gentle loops, catching the sunlight and scattering tiny reflections across the marble. Catherine was said to linger here, watching the liquid patterns shift and shimmer, letting the soft murmurs of the water calm her mind. She believed that these quiet moments, spent simply observing the interaction of light, water, and stone, helped to organize her thoughts and prepare her for the day. The fountain itself seems to hum a quiet tune, one that travels through the hallways and into the rooms, coaxing every visitor to slow their steps and listen. You might even chuckle softly at the thought that centuries later, we are still hearing echoes of this same peaceful ritual. Back inside, the marble floors stretch long and smooth, reflecting the filtered sunlight in gentle streaks. You can imagine Catherine pausing now and then, picking up a piece of fruit she had arranged earlier, inspecting its shape and fragrance as if it contained a hidden story. There is a strange little magic in her habits. Each slice of pear or apple seems to glow with its own light in the morning sun. A curious fact, almost forgotten by history, is that she sometimes rearranged her breakfast fruits depending on how she felt that day, as if they might communicate subtle messages about her mood or the energy she wished to invite. The colors, the scents, the textures, all combined into a silent dialogue between the palace, the morning, and her senses. You notice how the marble seems to hold the warmth of the sun in some places, and the coolness of the stone in others. Catherine's footsteps would have glided between these subtle temperature changes, each one a sensory punctuation to the slow unfolding of the morning. Historians write about her methodical approach to these early hours, noting that she valued stillness, observation, and deliberate movement over hurried activity. It is almost as if the palace itself conspired to slow down time, offering a sanctuary where each moment could be experienced fully, without rush or distraction. As you walk on, your gaze traces the intricate patterns beneath your feet, where light and shadow weave their quiet dance. Somewhere nearby, the soft rustle of fabric hints at a passing attendant, a gentle rhythm within the stillness. Few know that Catherine once placed tiny stones, flowers, or glass beads along her path, watching how sunlight played upon them. It was her quiet ritual a reminder that beauty often hides in the smallest, most ordinary details. The air carries a faint scent of polished stone, morning herbs, and the soft sweetness of honey. A calm older than time settles around you, each breath a quiet meditation, each step an invitation to slow down. The palace itself seems to breathe, blending memory and imagination into gentle harmony. You smile, sensing how Catherine's mornings once mirrored this peace-walking through sunlit halls, letting the world soften and drifting freely through light, fragrance, and history's quiet grace. You step into a small, warmly lit kitchen, where the soft light of early morning filters through a curtained window, painting gentle patterns on the wooden floor. The air is delicate, carrying the soothing scent of dried lavender mingled with the golden sweetness of honey. It is a quiet, private space, one that seems untouched by the bustle of the wider palace, a place where time slows to match the gentle rhythm of your breathing. You notice the soft gleam of copper pots and the faint shimmer of sunlight across ceramic bowls, all arranged neatly, as if the kitchen itself is aware of the calm it should preserve. Catherine de' Medici often began her days here with small, deliberate movements that combined simplicity and grace. Historians record that she favored toasted bread spread lightly with honey and sprinkled with nuts, a modest yet refined breakfast that nourished both body and spirit. You can imagine her picking up each slice carefully, enjoying the textures and the subtle warmth that rose from the toast, the sweet scent of honey rising in a soft spiral toward her nose. There is a rhythm in these motions, almost like a meditation, lifting, spreading, arranging, pausing to inhale. Sunlight spills across a small jar of honey, the golden liquid glowing softly in its warmth. Catherine, it's said, would place her honey in the morning sun, believing the gentle light awakened the spirit. You can almost see her watching it shimmer, waiting with quiet patience, as though hearing a tender whisper from the day itself. The thought feels intimate and whimsical, a secret exchange between her and the light, a private ritual of quiet, radiant magic. Along the wall, small bundles of lavender hang from wooden pegs, their scent drifting softly through the room like an invisible veil. Catherine cherished its fragrance, believing it both soothed and awakened the mind. Some say she would sprinkle dried petals into her tea, letting their color and aroma turn each sip into quiet art. You can almost see her smile at the gentle swirl of petals, an intimate moment of calm, beauty, and private delight. The kitchen table is modest, yet elegant, set with small bowls of fresh fruit, toasted bread, honey, and nuts arranged neatly. Catherine was attentive to how the colors and textures interacted, almost as if each element of the meal contributed to her mood and mental clarity for the day ahead. You might notice that the soft yellow of the honey contrasts beautifully with the muted tones of toasted bread and the earthy browns of almonds and hazelnuts. There is a sense of balance here, a calm order that seems to extend beyond the food and into the surrounding space. As you move through this quiet scene, the faint hum of palace activity in the distance reminds you of the larger world beyond this cozy room. Yet, in this moment, all is calm and deliberate. Catherine's morning habits were not hurried. Each gesture was measured, a combination of practicality and aesthetic pleasure. The soft clink of a spoon against a bowl, the gentle scrape of bread against a plate, the faint aroma of lavender mixing with the sweetness of honey, all combine into a subtle symphony of tranquility. You might even find yourself smiling at the thought that such small rituals could feel so luxurious, and yet so simple, a perfect combination of elegance and comfort. Sunlight continues to filter through the window, warming the wooden floorboards and illuminating the textures of the kitchen. You can imagine Catherine moving with quiet deliberation, savoring each bite, each sip, allowing the flavors and scents to awaken her senses slowly. It is almost like a gentle ceremony, a pause before the day begins, a deliberate act of presence and care. You notice how the golden honey glistens on her toast, almost capturing a little piece of the morning sun itself, and how the soft scent of lavender seems to curl lazily around her shoulders. A curious little secret of Catherine's mornings is that she sometimes placed a small spoon of honey near the window so the sunlight could touch it directly, believing the warmth and light together enhanced the honey's energy. It is a small, whimsical gesture, yet it adds to the overall sense of calm and attentiveness in her routine. You might picture her standing for a moment, gazing at the jar as the light dances across it, letting her thoughts drift gently, like soft clouds across a pale morning sky. The room is quiet, the sunlight shifts subtly across the walls, and the aroma of lavender and honey continues to rise, mingling with the faint warmth of the oven from a recently baked loaf of bread. Catherine's movements remain soft and measured, her focus entirely on the present moment, on the act of nourishing herself and engaging her senses. There is a natural grace to the scene, a rhythm that is both soothing and energizing, an invitation to slow your own breathing and notice the simple pleasures around you. As you linger in the imagined scene, you sense the slow unfolding of the morning, the calm interplay of scents, light, and textures guiding both body and mind into a state of relaxed awareness. You might even imagine reaching for a slice of toast, drizzling a little honey, and closing your eyes to inhale the lavender-infused air. There is humor in imagining such a small act being considered royal sophistication, yet it works perfectly, a reminder that joy often resides in the gentlest, simplest gestures. You continue to breathe slowly, noticing the soft sounds of the kitchen, a gentle breeze moving the curtains, a distant clink of utensils, the almost imperceptible hum of palace life beginning in the background. You find yourself fully immersed in the gentle world of Catherine de' Medici's morning, the scent of lavender, the glow of honey, the graceful order of her breakfast. Each detail invites stillness, each motion a quiet act of care. The air feels tender, deliberate, timeless. You breathe deeply, sensing the calm she once knew, and smile at the thought that, across centuries, you share the same serene rhythm of light, fragrance, and reflection. You continue your quiet walk through the palace, where the morning sun filters gently through the grand windows, casting long golden beams across the floors and walls. The light touches the richly embroidered tapestries, revealing delicate patterns of flowers, birds, and serene landscapes, each thread glowing warmly as though kissed by the sun itself. The shadows dance lightly along the stone floors, accentuating the soft rhythm of your steps. You might notice how even the faintest movement of a curtain or a breeze creates subtle changes in the light, as if the palace itself breathes alongside you. Catherine de' Medici often lingered in these halls before breakfast, letting her eyes trace the intricate designs woven into the tapestries. Historians note that she was fond of observing the way morning light interacted with the colors, seeing in them a quiet harmony that could soothe the mind and prepare the spirit for the day. You might imagine her pausing for a moment, tilting her head slightly, and allowing the golden illumination to fill her vision like a gentle wave. There is a sense of timelessness in these moments, a stillness that seems to slow the flow of hours and invite deep, reflective breathing. Beyond the walls of the palace, the gardens awaken with the soft sounds of morning. Birds chirp in gentle bursts, their melodies mingling with the whisper of leaves stirred by a mild breeze. Catherine is known to have spent considerable time observing these birds before breakfast, appreciating both their beauty and their quiet company. You can picture her standing at a window or a balcony, her gaze tracing their flight, noting the way they moved in subtle patterns across the sky. The chirping seems to align perfectly with the golden light, creating an unspoken harmony that sets a calm and reflective tone for the morning. In one of the quieter courtyards, small fountains add another layer of soft sound to the scene. A little-known secret is that Catherine loved listening to the gentle flow of water in these small pools, believing that it nurtured both imagination and serenity. You might imagine her sitting on a low stone bench, letting the rhythmic trickle and occasional splash of water draw her thoughts into a slow, meditative drift. The water catches sunlight in sparkling ripples, scattering miniature rainbows onto the surrounding walls and cobblestones, and each reflection seems to dance to a tune only she can hear. As you continue through the halls, the air feels softly scented with faint traces of herbs from the gardens, and perhaps a lingering hint of honey from breakfast preparations. Catherine's presence in these moments is one of quiet contemplation. She moved deliberately, savoring the tactile experience of polished wood banisters, the smooth stone beneath her fingers, and the gentle sway of tapestries as they caught the morning light. There is a kind of poetry in her movement, a subtle choreography between body, environment, and time itself. You might notice the distant echo of footsteps across the marble, soft and measured, blending with the natural symphony of birdsong and water. Historians record that Catherine cherished this early period of calm, often allowing her thoughts to drift freely, uninhibited by schedules or responsibilities. She believed that these gentle moments of observation and listening nourished her creativity and prepared her for the day's tasks. A small, whimsical fact: she sometimes imagined conversations with the birds, as if their songs offered advice or gentle encouragement. The sunlight continues to warm the tapestries, highlighting minute details: the sheen of a bird's feather, the softness of a flower petal, the delicate stitching of a miniature scene. Each of these details seems to invite a pause, a breath, and a lingering gaze. Catherine often used these pauses to feel grounded, to allow the stillness to permeate her mind, and to find inspiration in the ordinary elegance of her surroundings. You might imagine yourself stepping lightly beside her, noticing the same small wonders, breathing in the calm, and feeling the slow rhythm of the morning spread through your body. Near a small window that overlooks a hidden fountain, the air carries the faint splash of water and the subtle rustle of leaves. Catherine believed that these quiet, natural sounds were a gentle form of meditation, a way to connect mind and body before engaging with the day. You might picture her sitting or standing in a comfortable position, eyes half closed, listening to the flow and ripple of water as it moves over stones, each droplet contributing to a delicate chorus of serenity. The combination of light, sound, and scent creates a subtle, calming tapestry of its own, one that resonates both in the palace and within the spirit of anyone who pauses to notice. In the grand hallways, the soft glow of sunlight continues to highlight the textures of walls, floors, and tapestries. Catherine's footsteps are careful, her movements quiet, almost like a gentle dance that honors the space and the quiet energy within it. She occasionally stops to admire a reflection of sunlight on polished surfaces, noting how it shifts with the movement of the day. The combination of birdsong, flowing water, and golden light makes the palace feel like a living, breathing organism, responsive to the quiet presence of those who inhabit it. You might find yourself slowing down as you walk, synchronizing your steps with the natural cadence of the morning. Each element, the golden light, the tapestries, the birdsong, the flowing water, creates a seamless, gentle rhythm, encouraging mindfulness and awareness of small details. Even the smallest gestures, like Catherine pausing to observe a leaf or a sunbeam, seem to ripple through the space, shaping an atmosphere of calm and gentle curiosity. As the morning unfolds, you sense the peaceful continuity between palace and garden, light and shadow, movement and stillness. The golden illumination through the tapestries becomes a visual lullaby, drawing your attention slowly from one soft detail to another. You feel yourself moving with the gentle flow of time, guided by the calm ritual of Catherine's morning breathing in serenity with every step, letting the quiet majesty of the palace, the soft bird songs, and the trickling fountains gently ease your thoughts into a slow, reflective state. You move gently through the palace, leaving behind the sunlit hallways and tapestries, until you find yourself in a quiet corner of the library. The room is bathed in soft, filtered light that slips through tall, narrow windows, illuminating shelves lined with books whose spines carry centuries of knowledge. The air smells faintly of aged parchment, mixed with a subtle hint of dried herbs stored carefully in small jars along the walls. You notice a low wooden table near the window, perfectly positioned for quiet reflection, a place where the world outside seems to pause just for a moment. Catherine de' Medici often chose this corner for her morning tea rituals. Historians record that she would take a few minutes here, brewing herbal tea with leaves picked and dried from the palace gardens. The process was deliberate, almost meditative. She warmed the water slowly, watched the leaves unfurl, and inhaled the faint aroma of chamomile, mint, or lavender as it rose gently in curling wisps from the teapot. You might imagine her hands moving with careful grace, as if each motion were a brushstroke painting serenity into the space. A little-known secret is that Catherine believed that sipping tea at the precise moment when the morning light streamed through the window could bring subtle fortune to her day. She would watch the sun move across the floor and walls, timing her first sip perfectly to coincide with its golden touch. You can picture her lifting the delicate cup, feeling its warmth in her hands, and letting the fragrant liquid glide across her tongue as the sun kissed her cheek. There is a quiet humor in imagining her thinking, "The sun agrees. Today will be a calm one." And yet it adds a layer of magic to an otherwise simple ritual. The library itself seems to hum softly with history. Dust motes float lazily in the sunlight, shimmering as they move through the air, each one like a tiny star in a quiet golden sky. Catherine's footsteps are soft on the floorboards, almost inaudible, blending with the faint rustle of pages as she sometimes turns them to read a passage from her favorite book while the tea steeps. There is an elegance in the stillness, a measured cadence that invites anyone present to slow their own breathing, to feel the calm radiating from the space. After preparing her tea, Catherine sometimes carried it from this quiet corner to other rooms within the palace, allowing herself to enjoy each sip slowly, as if honoring both the beverage and the tranquility it represented. Historians note that she often made a small journey with her cup, moving carefully so as not to disturb the stillness, observing how light shifted on walls and floors as she walked. You might imagine following her, feeling the soft echo of her footsteps on polished surfaces, listening to the subtle creak of wooden panels, and noticing the way the fragrance of tea and herbs lingered in the air, blending with the faint scents of old books. The tea itself was simple yet carefully chosen. Catherine valued both flavor and the quiet energy she believed it carried. A subtle detail often overlooked is that she sometimes added a single petal or a small sprig of herb to the cup, enhancing not just the aroma, but the sense of mindfulness in each sip. You can picture the delicate green of mint floating on the surface, or a soft lavender petal drifting slowly, reflecting sunlight like a tiny jewel. These small details turned an ordinary cup of tea into a moment of beauty, a deliberate pause in a day that might otherwise be filled with duties and obligations. Sitting quietly, Catherine would inhale deeply, letting the aroma of tea mingle with the subtle fragrances of the library and the garden beyond the window. The combination of scents and light, along with the soft rustle of pages or the occasional creak of floorboards, created a sensory meditation. You might even imagine the faint flutter of a bird outside the window, adding its delicate voice to the morning chorus. The harmony of sound, smell, and light formed a gentle cocoon, shielding the mind from haste and inviting a sense of presence and calm. Sometimes she would pause in contemplation, holding the warm cup close, letting the steam rise, and trace delicate patterns in the air. The simple act of drinking tea became a mindful exercise, an intimate dialogue with the day's unfolding rhythm. A secret that few historians highlight is that Catherine occasionally whispered small wishes or reflections into her cup, a quiet confidence that the ritual itself amplified her thoughts and intentions. You might imagine a tiny smile crossing her face, a gentle acknowledgement of the magic in these small, deliberate acts. This quiet corner serves as a sanctuary not just for Catherine, but for anyone who enters this imagined morning. Golden sunlight drifts lazily across shelves and tables, illuminating every surface with a gentle warmth. The scent of herbal tea curls softly upward, mingling with the subtle fragrances of lavender and honey, creating a serene tapestry of smell and light. From nearby, the faint drip of a fountain adds a delicate rhythm, echoing through the palace halls, reminding you of the deliberate, unhurried pace of these hours. You are invited to slow your breath, to notice a petal catching the sun, to feel the calm weight of centuries pressing gently around you. Here, each moment unfolds with quiet intention, allowing time, beauty, and stillness to coexist effortlessly. In this gentle space, every sip of tea becomes an experience, every glance at a book or a sunlit surface a meditation. You might even imagine yourself lifting your own cup, inhaling the warm fragrance, feeling the heat settle into your palms, and letting the quiet energy of the room flow through you. It is a soft, slow rhythm, a dance of light, scent, and calm that gently anchors you to the present moment. With each gentle motion, the morning continues to unfold, inviting serenity, reflection, and a subtle joy in the quiet pleasures of a ritual that has been lovingly preserved across time. You step out from the quiet corners of the library into the crisp morning air of the palace gardens. The gravel paths feel uneven yet comforting beneath your shoes, guiding you slowly past carefully tended flower beds, herbs, and young fruit trees. Each step carries a subtle crunch, a rhythmic accompaniment to the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional flutter of wings. The air is fragrant with morning dew, mingled with the scent of blooming roses, lavender, and mint, forming a delicate perfume that seems to settle over the entire garden. Catherine de' Medici often walked these paths slowly, allowing herself to take in the gentle beauty that surrounded her. Historians note that she routinely inspected the fruits and herbs for the day's breakfast, selecting each with care, as if the choice of a single apple or sprig of thyme could influence the mood and energy of her day. You can imagine her hands hovering lightly over the branches, fingers brushing the leaves, occasionally pausing to inhale the aroma of a ripe peach or a soft bunch of grapes. Each gesture is deliberate yet gentle, a form of quiet mindfulness embedded in daily routine. A little-known secret is that Catherine encouraged butterflies to rest on her hands as she wandered, believing their delicate presence brought good omens. You might picture one tiny, colorful wing settling softly on her palm, and another brushing against her fingertips as she reaches for a cluster of lavender. The movement of these small creatures, seemingly indifferent, yet perfectly synchronized with their path, creates a subtle rhythm that accompanies the slow unfolding of the morning. Even the smallest detail, the flutter of a wing, the glint of dew on a petal, feels imbued with a touch of magic in this serene space. The garden paths wind leisurely past fountains, topiary, and small groves, each section framed by sunlight filtering through leaves. You notice how the shadows shift gradually, tracing the passage of time without urgency. Catherine often paused in these moments, listening to the soft murmur of water in fountains or the distant song of birds, allowing herself to feel the stillness seep into her bones. Historians describe her attentiveness to these quiet sounds as a form of morning meditation, a gentle practice of observing nature before the day's tasks fully began. The variety of plants in the garden contributes to a tapestry of colors and textures that unfold like a slow, breathing painting. Bright blooms contrast with muted greens, and the play of sunlight creates dappled patterns on the gravel paths. Catherine's approach to walking through the garden was deliberate, a kind of moving mindfulness, noticing the delicate symmetry of rose petals, the curling tendrils of climbing vines, and the smooth, sun-warmed stones beneath her feet. You might even imagine the occasional soft chuckle escaping her as she watches a particularly bold bee navigate from flower to flower, as if even insects contribute to the gentle rhythm of her morning. Each turn along the path reveals small surprises. A patch of mint might release its fragrance with a soft crush underfoot. A tiny spiderweb glints with dew like a string of pearls, and the distant fountain scatters droplets into the air that catch the sunlight sparkling briefly before settling. Catherine's attention to these subtleties demonstrates a deep appreciation for sensory detail, an awareness that each element, however small, contributes to the overall serenity of the morning. The garden, in this sense, becomes a living companion, responsive to her presence, offering calm and gentle delight with every step. While walking, Catherine often allowed herself moments to reflect. Perhaps she would pause near a particularly fragrant flower, inhaling deeply, or tilt her head to watch the sun illuminate the wings of a butterfly. These pauses were brief, yet intentional, moments of awareness and calm. A secret rarely noted is that she sometimes whispered her wishes into the air, believing that the combination of nature, sunlight, and gentle movement helped to carry her intentions through the garden and into the day. It is a quiet magic, subtle and personal, that enriches the simple act of walking among the blooms. The soundscape of the garden is gentle and soothing. Birds sing in scattered bursts, water ripples softly from fountains, and leaves whisper against each other in the light breeze. Even the occasional footsteps of a distant gardener or servant fade into the overall harmony, contributing to the sense of calm without disrupting it. You might feel yourself adjusting your pace to match this rhythm, inhaling the delicate fragrances, listening to the soft chorus of life around you, and letting each detail sink into your senses. As you follow Catherine along the winding garden paths, the morning light drifts and changes, casting shifting shadows that reveal textures you might have overlooked before. The garden feels vibrant, yet calm, a space where every sense awakens gradually, coaxed into gentle awareness. Flowers release their subtle fragrances, leaves shimmer in the soft sun, and butterflies flit quietly, each movement inviting you to slow down and absorb the serene rhythm of the morning. Even the simplest acts, selecting a ripe fruit, plucking fragrant herbs, become quiet rituals, small gestures of mindfulness that honor both the bounty of nature and the stillness within yourself. Time seems to stretch here, measured not by clocks, but by light, scent, and sensation, allowing each moment to unfold with intention and grace. In this space, you share Catherine's unhurried pace, fully present to the delicate beauty of her morning world. By the time you reach the central courtyard, the garden has revealed its full morning charm. The sunlight glimmers across dew-laden petals, butterflies flit between blooms, and fountains scatter sparkling droplets into the gentle air. Catherine's slow, mindful walk has allowed her to connect deeply with the natural world, gathering calm and quiet energy for the day ahead. You find your breath falling into her rhythm, each inhale and exhale in harmony with the garden's calm. The soft rustle of leaves, the delicate scent of flowers, and the warm sunlight guide you to appreciate the quiet, deliberate unfolding of the morning. Slowly, intentionally, you absorb the serene, steady beauty surrounding you. You wander slowly along the garden paths until you arrive at a small, serene fountain nestled among flowering shrubs and low hedges. The water glistens under the soft morning sun, rippling gently as a mild breeze brushes across its surface. The sound is delicate and rhythmic, like a quiet melody played just for you. It blends seamlessly with the soft rustling of leaves and the distant song of birds, creating a natural harmony that feels almost meditative. You notice the faint sparkle of droplets as they catch the light, scattering tiny prisms across the stone edges of the fountain, each like a fleeting jewel in the calm morning. Catherine de' Medici often chose to sit beside this fountain before breakfast, historians record, enjoying the tranquil atmosphere it provided. She would rest on a low bench or a carefully placed stone seat, letting the soft sounds of flowing water anchor her thoughts and encourage a sense of calm. You might imagine her tilting her head slightly, eyes following the dance of sunlight on the rippling surface, feeling the subtle warmth on her face, and listening with quiet attention to the gentle flow. Each ripple seemed to echo softly in the surrounding garden, carrying a sense of peace that invited slow, deliberate breathing. A curious and little-known habit of Catherine's involved a small silver spoon she sometimes placed delicately on the fountain's surface. She would watch as the sunlight reflected off the spoon and scattered across the water, creating shifting patterns that danced over her hands and the surrounding stones. She believed that observing these reflections awakened the senses and encouraged mindfulness, a subtle ritual of perception that connected her to the present moment. You can picture her smiling faintly at the playful movement of light, imagining it as a tiny performance designed just for her, a private celebration of beauty and stillness. The fountain itself is modest yet elegant, carved from smooth stone with delicate reliefs of flowers and leaves along its edges. Water trickles gently from a small spout into a shallow basin, creating a soothing, continuous murmur. The breeze moves lightly through the surrounding foliage, carrying the faint scent of blooming herbs and flowers into the air. Catherine often inhaled deeply in these moments, letting the fragrance mingle with the sound of water and the warmth of the sun on her skin, a combination that grounded her and prepared her mind for the day ahead. You might notice how the small, deliberate details of the fountain, its shape, the gentle flow, the movement of leaves on the water's surface, combine to create a serene, contemplative space. As you linger, you may hear the faint echo of footsteps along the gravel paths or the soft flap of a bird's wings, each sound blending seamlessly into the gentle chorus of the morning. Catherine's appreciation for this subtle symphony of nature reflects a deeper mindfulness, a deliberate slowing of perception, to notice small movements and sounds that might otherwise go unnoticed. Some historians still debate whether she believed these sensory observations directly influenced her mood, but it is clear that they formed an integral part of her morning routine, a quiet interplay of attention and presence. The fountain area also offers visual delights. Tiny dragonflies hover just above the water, their wings catching the sunlight like miniature stained glass windows. Droplets from the fountain occasionally land softly on leaves or petals, adding a fleeting sparkle that seems almost magical. Catherine would occasionally reach out gently, letting a single droplet fall onto her fingertips, appreciating its cool, ephemeral touch. These small interactions with the environment encouraged her to remain attentive, patient, and calm, a subtle practice of connecting with the beauty around her. You might notice that the breeze brings slight ripples across the water, and with it, a subtle cooling sensation on your skin. Catherine often closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sensory symphony sight, sound, smell, and touch settle into her consciousness. She believed these gentle experiences helped organize thoughts, cultivate serenity, and prepare her for the day's activities. Even a simple glance at the reflections in the water or the shifting light on a leaf became an opportunity to pause, to appreciate the present, and to feel the soft rhythm of life moving around her. The space by the fountain is private and intimate, shielded by carefully placed shrubs and hedges. It offers both a view of the wider garden and a sense of enclosure that enhances the feeling of calm. Catherine often allowed herself to simply sit, watching the play of light, the movement of water, and the occasional flutter of butterflies that drifted from flower to flower. You can imagine yourself sitting beside her, breathing slowly, noticing the same gentle movements, feeling the harmony of the garden settle over your mind and body. As the morning continues, the sunlight shifts gradually, tracing new patterns across the fountain and its surroundings. The soft breeze stirs the petals, the water continues to ripple gently, and the faint aroma of herbs and flowers mingles with the warmth of the sun. Catherine rises slowly when she feels ready, carrying the sense of calm and attentiveness with her, knowing that the simple ritual of observing the fountain has set a peaceful tone for the day. You may feel the same quiet energy settling within yourself, a gentle reminder that even the smallest details, observed with attention, can bring calm, clarity, and subtle joy to the morning. A soft breeze drifts through the garden, flowing around the fountain and brushing gently against leaves, petals, and the rippling water. Its movement creates a subtle rhythm, a quiet pulse that seems to echo the steady cadence of your own breath. You pause, letting the interplay of sunlight, shimmering water, and delicate fragrances weave together into a rich sensory tapestry. Every sound, scent, and shimmer of light pulls you into the garden's serene embrace, allowing calm to settle gently into your mind, body, and awareness. You feel the gentle energy of this tranquil space, the careful harmony of nature, and the deliberate unfolding of the morning. In this moment, time feels suspended, and you are fully absorbed in the quiet, restorative beauty surrounding you. You enter the breakfast room as the first rays of morning light spill through tall windows, softly illuminating the polished surfaces of tables and chairs. The light glimmers gently across silverware, reflecting tiny shards of gold and silver onto the wooden floor, creating a warm, inviting glow. Each spoon, fork, and knife seems to hold a delicate story, their smooth surfaces catching the sun like tiny mirrors, dancing with the subtle movement of the room. Even the faint clink of metal as it shifts slightly feels soothing, a gentle accompaniment to the quiet ambience. Catherine de' Medici was known for her meticulous attention to every detail of her morning meal. Historians note that she cared not only about the flavors and freshness of her food, but also about its presentation and the arrangement of the table. You might imagine her adjusting the position of a spoon or tilting a small plate slightly, ensuring that everything aligned with her sense of harmony and balance. Even the tiniest details, the placement of a knife, the orientation of a fork, were infused with her quiet awareness, making breakfast not merely a meal, but a deliberate ritual of calm and mindfulness. A little-known secret of Catherine's breakfast practice involves the placement of salt and sugar. She sometimes arranged them in specific positions on the table, believing that the orientation of these condiments influenced the energy of the meal and the day to come. You might picture her setting a small dish of sugar at just the right angle, tilting it slightly toward the sunlight, or aligning a salt cellar to catch a slant of golden light. It seems whimsical, perhaps, yet this subtle attention to detail reflects a deeper intention, an effort to harmonize her surroundings and nourish both body and spirit with the calm energy of careful design. The silverware itself adds to the visual and tactile charm of the morning. Polished smooth and cool to the touch, the spoons reflect the soft hues of the room, from the muted gold of the morning sun to the gentle shades of the table linens. Catherine often lingered for a moment, observing the reflections and the interplay of light, allowing herself to fully appreciate the quiet beauty of these everyday objects. You might imagine her gently tapping a spoon against a cup, listening to the soft, melodic sound, or tracing the curve of a handle with her fingertips, letting the rhythm of these small gestures anchor her attention and calm her mind. As she arranges the meal, subtle aromas mingle in the air, freshly baked bread, hints of honey, and the herbal notes from her morning tea. The combination of scent, light, and visual symmetry forms a gentle sensory tapestry, inviting mindfulness and reflection. You may notice the way sunlight falls across the polished silver, highlighting the smooth contours and casting delicate shadows, as if the room itself participates in a silent, calming choreography. Each glint of light, each slight shift of shadow, contributes to the soft ambiance that permeates the palace at this hour. The breakfast table also includes small, thoughtful details, like a sprig of lavender or a carefully peeled fruit, placed with care to enhance the visual harmony of the meal. Catherine's attention to these elements reflects a quiet philosophy that every detail, no matter how small, contributes to the overall atmosphere and the quality of one's experience. You might imagine her lifting a spoon, observing the reflection of her hand in its polished surface, and smiling softly at the gentle interplay of light and form. Even the simplest movements, pouring a cup of tea or scattering a few grains of sugar, become moments of mindfulness, slowing the pace of the morning and inviting calm. While historians record her careful planning of breakfast, few note the subtle rituals that accompanied it. Catherine sometimes paused to inhale the scent of freshly cut herbs, or to adjust the placement of a napkin, aligning it with the slant of sunlight or the flow of shadows across the table. These deliberate acts, though small, created a rhythm, a measured awareness that enriched the experience of the meal. Even the faintest touch of silver against porcelain, or the gentle arrangement of plates, offered a moment to savor both the sensory beauty and the quiet passage of time. The morning light drifts gradually across the table, gliding over silverware, plates, and cups in a soft, ever-changing dance. Each shimmer and reflection seems to highlight not just the objects themselves, but the care and intention behind their placement. Catherine's attention to these small details reflects more than preparation. It is a way of connecting deeply with both her surroundings and the serenity of the morning. The gentle interplay of sunlight on polished surfaces, the muted glint of metal, and the delicate aroma of herbs and honey combine to create a quietly soothing atmosphere. This subtle harmony encourages slow, mindful breathing, inviting your body and mind to match the rhythm of the space. Even simple movements, adjusting a cup, placing a spoon, or noticing a reflection, become part of the morning's calm meditation. Here, each gesture, each glance, and each breath reminds you to slow down and move through the day with gentle attentiveness and care. By the time breakfast is ready, the room glows with a gentle warmth, soft sunlight spilling across the table and filling the air with subtle fragrance. Catherine's careful attention to every detail, the placement of silverware, the way light catches each surface, The arrangement of her meal transforms the ordinary into a quiet ritual. Each sip of tea, each bite of food, each glance around the room carries a sense of calm and intention. The atmosphere encourages slow, mindful engagement, allowing both body and mind to settle into the serene rhythm of a morning, unfolding deliberately, gracefully, and with gentle presence. You might find yourself drawn into this serene rhythm, noticing the interplay of light on polished surfaces, the soft clink of utensils, and the quiet energy of a morning unfolding slowly, harmoniously, and deliberately. Even the smallest gesture, lifting a spoon or arranging a dish, becomes part of a gentle meditation, reminding you to move through your own day with care, attention, and quiet delight. You step into a softly lit room where tall windows are draped with flowing silk curtains. The morning breeze drifts gently through the open panes, causing the fabric to sway and whisper softly against itself. The sound is delicate, like the hushed conversations of long-forgotten spirits or the faint murmur of a distant stream. Sunlight filters through the folds of silk, scattering golden threads across the polished floor, creating a dappled, ever-shifting pattern that seems almost alive. The room feels intimate and mysterious, as though it holds secrets waiting quietly to be discovered. Catherine de' Medici often spent her mornings in such spaces, historians note, enjoying the gentle solitude while reading light poetry or short reflective passages. She would select texts that matched the soft, contemplative mood of the early day, letting the words drift slowly through her mind, blending with the rustle of the curtains and the distant hum of the palace. You might imagine her sitting in a high-backed chair near the window, a small book resting delicately in her hands, her eyes following the lines with calm, deliberate attention. Each page turn is soft, almost inaudible, harmonizing with the whisper of silk and the faint chirping of birds outside. A little-known secret is that Catherine often lit scented candles in the corners of these reading spaces. The flickering flames cast playful shadows against the walls, and their subtle aroma, perhaps a mix of lavender, rosemary, or sweet vanilla, added an additional layer of sensory richness to the room. She believed that the dancing light inspired creativity and gentle reflection, guiding her thoughts like a quiet muse. You might picture a candle's flame reflected in a polished wooden table, tiny sparks of golden light moving in rhythm with the soft sway of the curtains, adding an almost magical quality to the otherwise ordinary morning. The curtains themselves create a gentle rhythm in the room. Their swaying forms a slow, almost hypnotic movement, inviting your eyes to follow the shifting shapes and shadows. Catherine often allowed herself to pause and watch the interplay of light and fabric, considering it a moment of meditative awareness. Even the softest draft is welcomed, carrying the faint aroma of blooming flowers from the garden outside, blending seamlessly with the scent of ink, paper, and candle smoke. You may notice how the space encourages quiet contemplation, a gentle invitation to slow down and observe the subtle beauty of the morning. The room is adorned simply but elegantly. Wooden shelves hold small volumes, scrolls, and ink pots, each item carefully arranged to maintain a sense of order and serenity. The sunlight highlights the edges of the books and the subtle patterns in the wood grain, creating a visual melody that complements the whispered motion of the curtains. Catherine's attention to these small details reflects her belief that a calm, aesthetically pleasing environment nurtures a calm and creative mind. You might imagine her lightly touching the spine of a book before opening it, appreciating the smooth texture, the faint scent of parchment, and the quiet promise contained within its pages. As she reads, the interplay of light, shadow, and scent continues to shift slowly. The room's quiet rhythm encourages deep, measured breaths, a soft awareness of the present, and a gentle engagement of the senses. Catherine sometimes tilted her head, allowing the morning sun to brush across her cheek, as if each ray of light carries a subtle encouragement to begin the day with clarity and calm. The flickering candle flame seems to dance in sync with the subtle movements of the curtains, And you might feel the same gentle sway of relaxation moving through your own body as you imagine the scene. The gentle sway of the curtains carries with it the faint, distant sounds of the palace beyond, the muted echo of footsteps along marble corridors, the soft murmur of voices exchanging greetings or instructions, the occasional clatter of a tray being set down somewhere out of sight. These subtle noises do not disturb the calm. Rather, they blend seamlessly into the quiet rhythm of the morning, reminding you that life continues beyond these walls, while the room remains a serene haven. The ambient sounds become part of the sensory tapestry, harmonizing with the soft light spilling across polished surfaces, the delicate fragrance of herbs and honey, and the subtle glimmer of silverware. Catherine herself would often close her eyes for a few precious moments, allowing the combination of scent, sound, and light to merge into a private meditation. In these brief pauses, she reinforced the tranquility she cultivated with such care, tuning herself to the deliberate rhythm of the morning. Each sound became a gentle marker, each movement of light a quiet guide, and each scent a reminder of presence. In this way, even ordinary elements, footsteps, distant voices, or a softly swaying curtain were transformed into part of a mindful, deliberate experience, enveloping both mind and body in calm. A subtle detail is the occasional reflection of sunlight on a polished inkwell or a small metallic ornament on the desk. These tiny flashes of light complement the flickering candles and the rhythmic sway of the curtains, creating a layered sensory experience that feels both delicate and grounding. Catherine's morning practice was not hurried. Each gesture, whether turning a page, inhaling a scent, or adjusting a curtain, was infused with intention. You may sense that the gentle, deliberate pace itself is a form of nourishment, allowing the mind to awaken slowly and peacefully. Even as the morning progresses, the room retains its serene charm. The curtains continue their soft dance, sunlight continues to scatter across the floor and books, and the faint aroma of candle smoke mingles with the garden's fragrance. Catherine eventually rises, carrying with her the calm cultivated in these quiet moments, ready to move gently toward the next part of her day. You might sense your body and mind settling into the same gentle, soothing rhythm, a quiet invitation to carry the calm of swaying curtains, flickering flames, and soft palace whispers with you, allowing their serene presence to guide your breath, your thoughts, and the unfolding moments of the morning that stretches ahead. You step quietly into the breakfast room, greeted by the warm, comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. The scent is soft, yet enveloping, mingling delicately with the sweet notes of honey and the subtle crunch of almonds scattered across the tabletop. Morning light filters through the windows, casting golden highlights over the loaf, illuminating the glistening honey drizzles and the pale sheen of almonds. Each detail seems carefully arranged, as though the bread itself is a work of art, inviting a slow, appreciative gaze and a gentle breath to savor its presence. Historians note that Catherine de' Medici often began her mornings with such light, nourishing fare. The simplicity of the meal, paired with the meticulous attention to sensory detail, reflects a deliberate ritual designed to awaken the mind and body without haste. You might imagine her carefully slicing a piece of warm bread, letting the steam curl upward like a soft ribbon, and inhaling the gentle perfume of almonds and honey before placing it on her plate. Each bite is taken with mindful awareness, a quiet communion with the flavors, textures, and subtle warmth of the morning. A little-known secret of Catherine's breakfast habits involves the occasional placement of a small sprig of fresh herbs inside the loaf. Perhaps a slender branch of rosemary, thyme, or lavender tucked gently into the dough before baking. She believed that this infusion brought a subtle energy, a quiet vitality that would carry her through the day. You can picture her breaking the bread carefully, discovering the hidden herb, and allowing the fragrance to mingle with the honey's sweetness, a small ritual that adds both delight and gentle reassurance to the meal. The kitchen itself seems to participate in the morning ritual. Sunlight streams through high windows, catching the flower dust that floats lazily in the air, illuminating tiny motes that drift like suspended stars. The polished wooden table glows softly in the warm light, and the occasional glint of a knife or spoon reflects a miniature sunbeam. Catherine's presence adds an almost tangible sense of calm. Her movements are unhurried, measured, and deliberate, each gesture a subtle act of care, from slicing almonds to arranging the bread in perfect alignment. The textures of the breakfast contribute to its sensory richness. The bread is soft and yielding, yet slightly crisp at the edges. Honey drips in golden rivulets, catching the sunlight and casting delicate patterns across the plate. Almonds offer a gentle crunch, punctuating the softness with a satisfying contrast. Each sensory element, the fragrance, the texture, the taste, works in harmony, creating a serene, nurturing experience. You might imagine taking a deep breath, allowing the aroma to fill your senses, and feeling the warmth of the morning settle quietly into your body. Even the smallest details are not overlooked. Catherine sometimes rotated plates and utensils slightly, ensuring that every element is perfectly placed, as if the symmetry and order of the table could influence the calm energy of the meal. The placement of the herbs, the drizzled honey, the scattered almonds all become subtle points of focus, encouraging a slower pace and a mindful presence. The act of noticing these details invites you to become more attentive to the small, gentle wonders of your own morning, to the textures, aromas, and colors that might otherwise pass unnoticed. Outside the window, a soft breeze carries the scent of the palace gardens into the breakfast room, mingling with the warmth of the oven and the sweetness of almonds. You might hear a faint rustle of leaves, the soft trickle of water from a distant fountain, or the subtle chirping of birds perched in nearby trees. These gentle sounds harmonize with the aromas and visual delights, creating a layered experience that feels both intimate and expansive, a quiet meditation in motion. As Catherine enjoys her meal, the morning continues to unfold slowly. Sunlight shifts across the room, illuminating new angles and textures, highlighting the sheen of honey, the glimmer of almonds, and the subtle green of herbs tucked into the bread. Each detail encourages a mindful awareness, an appreciation for the simple joys and subtle intricacies of everyday life. Even the smallest bite becomes a quiet celebration, a moment to pause, breathe, and savor the gentle rhythm of the morning. You might picture yourself seated across from Catherine, sharing in the quiet ritual of her breakfast. Your fingers lift a small piece of freshly baked, scented bread, warm and textured, and you inhale deeply, taking in the subtle, harmonious blend of honey, almonds, and fresh herbs. Each element of the meal carries with it a deliberate intention, from the careful arrangement of food on the plate to the soft, steady placement of silverware. This mindfulness transforms even the simplest actions into a gentle meditation, encouraging a pace that is slow, deliberate, and unhurried. As you partake, the room's soft light plays across polished surfaces, illuminating the delicate patterns of tablecloths and the glimmer of cups and plates. Subtle aromas drift through the air, mingling with the quiet sounds of the palace, the soft rustle of curtains, the distant echo of footsteps, the occasional clink of utensils. Together, these sensory details converge to create a serene, almost sacred atmosphere. Your senses awaken gradually, each breath syncing with the calm rhythm of the space, allowing the mind to quiet and the body to feel both nurtured and lightly energized. In this moment, time seems to slow, and you are fully present, sharing in a serene, deliberate morning that unites past and present in tranquil harmony. By the time the meal is complete, the room is suffused with warmth, quiet energy, and gentle satisfaction. Catherine rises slowly, carrying the calm and mindful presence of breakfast into the next part of her morning. You might sense the same quiet serenity, a gentle nudge to slow your movements. Observe the subtle details surrounding you, and allow the morning's soft rhythm to guide your breath, thoughts, and focus. Each moment unfolds deliberately, encouraging mindfulness and presence, as the calm energy of the space seeps into your body and mind, inviting you to move through the day with the same attentive, peaceful awareness. You step into the softly lit breakfast room, noticing the small candles that Catherine de' Medici often placed around the space before her morning meal. Their flames dance gently, casting a warm amber glow over the polished surfaces of tables, chairs, and silverware. The light flickers slowly, creating subtle, moving shadows that stretch across the walls and floors. Each shadow shifts imperceptibly, a delicate choreography of light and dark that seems almost alive. You may notice how the room feels more intimate, more inviting, a gentle illumination softening the edges of the furniture and blending harmoniously with the first rays of morning sunlight streaming through the windows. Historians record that Catherine enjoyed lighting candles during the early hours, believing that the soft glow contributed to a sense of warmth and tranquility before beginning her day. She often arranged them with care, spacing them evenly to create an even, soothing light that did not overwhelm the senses. You might imagine her sitting quietly at the table, her eyes occasionally glancing at the flickering flames as she sipped a cup of herbal tea, allowing the gentle movement of light to guide her thoughts and inspire a calm, reflective state of mind. The flickering glow adds a rhythm to the room, a quiet heartbeat that blends seamlessly with the soft sounds of birds outside and the faint murmur of the palace awakening. A little-known secret of Catherine's candle ritual involved observing the way the flames moved. She believed that each flicker, sway, or sudden flare reflected the state of her own inner calm, almost like a mirror of the soul. If a flame danced more wildly than usual, she would pause and breathe slowly, letting her own energy settle. You can picture her tilting her head slightly, watching a tiny spark leap and bend with the breeze from an open window, a gentle smile tracing her lips as she acknowledged the quiet dialogue between flame and spirit. The candle's movement became both a source of fascination and a subtle meditation, guiding her awareness toward mindfulness and gentle observation. The candles themselves are simple yet elegant, made of pale beeswax that releases a subtle, natural fragrance as it burns. The scent mingles softly with the aroma of breakfast foods, honey, almonds, and fresh bread, creating a layered sensory environment that feels nurturing and harmonious. You might notice the faint hum of heat rising from each flame, a delicate reminder of the life within the room, and how each flicker contributes to the larger tapestry of sights, sounds, and smells that characterize Catherine's morning ritual. Even the smallest details, the slight tilt of a wick or the gentle pooling of melted wax, add depth to the serene atmosphere, encouraging a slow, deliberate awareness of the present moment. As the morning progresses, the sunlight gradually strengthens, filtering through curtains and mingling with the soft candlelight. The interplay of natural and artificial illumination casts complex, shifting patterns across the room. You may imagine Catherine noticing how a particular flame highlights the edge of a plate, the curve of a spoon, or the texture of a wooden tabletop. These subtle observations become moments of quiet mindfulness, allowing her to connect deeply with her environment, to appreciate the beauty in simple, everyday details, and to cultivate a sense of inner calm that carries through the rest of her morning. Even the faintest sounds become part of this layered experience. The quiet pop of melting wax, the soft crackle as a wick bends, and the gentle draft moving through the room complement the other ambient sounds, distant footsteps, the rustle of leaves outside, or the soft murmur of a fountain. All these sensory elements blend into a gentle, immersive symphony that invites slow, calm breathing and a focused awareness on the present. You might notice how your own body responds, relaxing with each flicker, each faint sound, as your mind follows the rhythm of the flames and the subtle movements in the room. Catherine, sometimes allowed herself to linger in this warm, glowing space even after her breakfast was ready. She would tilt her head, take a deep breath, and watch the candles for a few more moments, enjoying the interplay of light, shadow, and scent. Each flame felt like a tiny companion, a softly moving partner in her morning meditation. You can imagine her fingers brushing lightly over the polished tabletop, tracing the patterns of melted wax or the edge of a small dish, connecting tactile sensation to visual observation and inner stillness. The combination of flickering, candlelight, and morning sunlight creates a gentle rhythm that seems almost musical. Shadows move slowly across the walls, joining the soft patterns of sunbeams and reflecting off silverware and glassware. This interplay of light, movement, and reflection forms a subtle, immersive environment that encourages calm focus, inviting the mind to slow, the breath to deepen, and the body to settle. Even without consciously thinking about it, you may begin to feel the same gentle relaxation Catherine cultivated each morning. By the time Catherine rises from her seat, the room has settled into a sanctuary of warmth, soft light, and quiet contemplation. The flickering candles cast gentle shadows that mingle with the slowly shifting sunlight, while the faint scents of beeswax, herbs, and freshly prepared breakfast combine into a subtle, lingering tapestry of calm. Each detail, the glow on polished surfaces, the delicate aroma in the air, the quiet movement of objects, reinforces the serenity of the morning. You might feel this same tranquility settling within yourself, a soft reminder that deliberate, mindful rituals can transform even ordinary moments into experiences of comfort and clarity. The calm lingers, encouraging a thoughtful, unhurried pace, inviting you to carry this gentle awareness forward, letting it shape the start of your own day with presence, intention, and quiet delight. You step into a quiet corner of the palace library, where the morning light filters gently through tall windows, creating soft patterns on the polished wooden floor. Catherine de' Medici sits calmly, enveloped in the gentle glow, her attention absorbed by the delicate pages of a book resting lightly in her hands. The library is serene, filled with the faint scent of parchment, ink, and aged wood, a comforting combination that invites slow, deliberate breaths. Even the quiet shuffle of pages seems to harmonize with the hushed ambience, each turn carrying a soft, almost musical rhythm that blends with the faint murmur of the palace waking beyond the walls. Historians record that Catherine often chose books on art, cooking, and subtle philosophical reflections during these morning moments. She would linger over illustrations, noting the delicate brushstrokes or the arrangement of colors, and read recipes carefully, imagining the aromas and textures of each dish. You might picture her tracing a finger along a painted border, pausing to inhale the faint scent of old ink, and allowing her mind to drift slowly to the rich tapestry of ideas and artistry captured in the pages. Each book becomes a gentle portal, guiding her attention outward and inward simultaneously, connecting the quiet of the room to her own inner calm. A little-known secret of Catherine's library habit is her love for the subtle sound of paper shifting. She believed that the gentle rustle of pages is like music, a composition of serenity that helps align the mind for the day ahead. You may imagine her opening a book carefully, listening as the paper whispers beneath her fingers, the sound mingling with the soft tick of a distant clock and the faint echo of footsteps in adjoining corridors. It is a rhythm that encourages patience, reflection, and deepening awareness, turning the act of reading into a meditative practice rather than a hurried task. The light in the corner shifts slowly as the morning unfolds, illuminating the spines of books in varying shades and highlighting intricate carvings on wooden shelves. Catherine's eyes move deliberately, scanning titles and motifs, allowing her gaze to linger on patterns that spark quiet fascination. The interplay of light and shadow creates a subtle dance on the floor and walls, a gentle reminder that even in stillness, movement persists in a soft, almost imperceptible form. You might notice the way her attention seems to absorb both the visual beauty and the tactile presence of her surroundings, fostering a layered sense of calm that is both grounding and expansive. In this serene space, the sensory experience is rich and layered. You can imagine the delicate scent of tea or honey drifting from the breakfast room, mingling with the faint aroma of wax from previously lit candles, creating a multi-dimensional environment that nurtures mind and body alike. Even the simple act of turning a page becomes a small ritual, a mindful gesture that contributes to a sense of order, harmony, and gentle contemplation. Catherine's calm presence in the library seems to slow time, allowing each moment to stretch with measured grace, encouraging you to breathe slowly and notice the textures, sounds, and scents that surround you. The library corner is furnished with soft cushions and a small wooden chair positioned near the window, catching both light and warmth. Catherine occasionally tilts her head toward the window, observing the gardens beyond, noting the movement of leaves or the distant flight of a bird. This interplay between interior and exterior spaces fosters a quiet awareness, a connection to the broader world without disrupting the peace of the room. Even a faint breeze that brushes past the window pane adds a subtle rhythm, moving through the pages of her book and carrying the faint fragrance of morning blooms. Every detail of the library is crafted to nurture calm and reflection. Shelves are meticulously arranged, books placed in thoughtful sequences that invite curiosity while maintaining a sense of order and serenity. Catherine often pauses to handle a volume with care, noticing its weight, texture, and the subtle beauty of its binding. She might smooth a folded page or adjust a book's position, attending to the quiet perfection of her surroundings. Even the smallest gestures, a gentle touch of a spine, a subtle shift in posture, a mindful inhalation of the scent of aged paper and polished wood transform into tiny acts of meditation. Each movement reinforces the measured, deliberate rhythm of the morning, allowing attention to settle fully on the present moment. In this space, time slows, and the library becomes a sanctuary where mind, body, and spirit align, encouraging contemplation, wonder, and a profound sense of calm. The soft patter of footsteps from attendants, or the faint hum of the palace beyond, does not disturb the calm. Rather, it blends into the ambient backdrop, adding subtle texture to the otherwise quiet environment. Catherine seems to absorb these sounds, incorporating them into her own rhythm, allowing the interplay of external and internal stimuli to deepen her sense of peace. Each movement of hand, head, or page is deliberate, slow, and attentive, fostering a harmony that invites you to mirror her pace, slowing your own breath and awareness in gentle alignment. By the time she closes the book, Catherine has cultivated a quiet, meditative state, ready to move into the next part of her morning with intention and grace. You might feel a similar settling within yourself, a softening of thought, a quieting of tension, and an ease of presence that mirrors the serenity she nurtures in this library corner. The light, the rustle of pages, the aroma of old books and morning scents, all converge to create a layered, immersive experience, a gentle reminder of the calm, deliberate rhythm of life that can be found in attentive observation, quiet study, and mindful reflection. You step closer to an open window, letting the soft morning breeze drift gently into the room. The air carries the faint, refreshing scent of dew-soaked earth, mingled with the delicate aroma of blooming flowers from the palace gardens. Sunlight streams in, illuminating dust motes that float lazily in the air, catching the light like tiny suspended stars. The gentle movement of the curtains in the breeze adds a sense of life to the stillness, their silky folds swaying quietly as if performing a soft, unhurried dance. You may notice how the combination of air, light, and scent creates an immersive sense of calm, encouraging slow, deep breaths, and a quiet, contemplative awareness. Historians record that Catherine de' Medici cherished the fresh morning air, often pausing by open windows to breathe deeply and observe the world beyond the palace walls. She seemed to find a delicate balance between interior serenity and exterior vitality, letting the gentle gusts carry both sensory delight and quiet inspiration. You might picture her leaning lightly against the window frame, feeling the slight brush of wind on her skin, listening to the soft rustle of leaves, and allowing the sense of the gardens to mingle subtly with the warmth of candlelight and the faint aroma of her morning meal. A little-known secret of Catherine's morning routine involves her subtle placement of leaves on her writing table or breakfast surface. Sometimes a few fallen leaves would rest lightly on the polished wood, carefully positioned as though by chance, though chosen with intention. She believed that these small fragments of nature carried quiet energy, small talismans that invited fortune and positive feelings into the day. You might imagine her lightly touching a leaf, feeling its texture, and letting its coolness contrast with the soft warmth of the morning sunlight on her hand, a small gesture that adds mindfulness and a sense of gentle magic to her routine. The palace gardens beyond the windows offer a soft, layered symphony of sound and motion. Birds sing gently in the trees, their notes weaving through the rustle of leaves and the occasional splash of water from a distant fountain. You can almost feel the rhythm of the garden extending into the room, blending with the quiet shuffle of pages, the faint hum of distant footsteps, or the subtle crackle of candle flames. Catherine seems attuned to this harmony, allowing the natural sounds to enrich her experience and deepen her awareness, drawing a gentle connection between the indoor calm and the vibrant outdoor world. The morning breeze drifts gently through the room and garden, carrying delicate hints of floral blossoms and earthy notes that settle softly on the skin and in the hair. Each inhalation becomes a quiet, mindful ritual, an attentive acknowledgement of the subtle beauty surrounding you. Catherine would often pause simply to breathe in this mixture of scents, allowing her senses to awaken gradually, without rush or urgency. The soft sway of curtains in the gentle breeze, the faint shimmer of sunlight glinting across polished surfaces, and the layered aromas of herbs, flowers, and fresh air converge into a rich, intimate sensory experience. Each detail scent, light, movement interacts harmoniously, encouraging the mind to slow and the body to settle. In this calm, deliberate atmosphere, presence is cultivated naturally, and even the simplest gestures, from inhaling deeply to noticing a sunlit leaf, become acts of quiet meditation, nurturing both mind and spirit while establishing a serene, attentive rhythm for the morning. Even the smallest movements in the room feel meaningful. The soft flutter of a curtain edge, the gentle drop of a leaf onto a tabletop, or the shifting pattern of sunlight across the floor provides constant, slow motion to observe. Catherine sometimes tilted her head or shifted her position to fully appreciate these subtle nuances, as though each micro-movement of the environment were a small meditation to be absorbed, savored, and appreciated. You may feel yourself mirroring this pace, allowing your eyes and mind to linger gently on each detail, finding calm in their subtle beauty. The interplay between indoor and outdoor spaces extends further. Light dances across polished wood, reflecting patterns of branches and leaves onto the floor. The breeze carries not only scent, but also soft movement, brushing against fabrics, books, and her hair. These small motions create a rhythm that is almost musical in its gentle repetition, a soothing cadence that invites calm observation and mindful awareness. You might notice how the quiet shifts and changes with each breath of air, each flutter of leaves, blending the sensations into a seamless experience of presence and serenity. Catherine sometimes reached toward the open window to adjust a curtain or touch the frame, feeling the smooth wood beneath. her fingertips and noting the temperature contrast between the warm sunlit surfaces and the cool morning breeze. This tactile engagement adds an additional layer of awareness, connecting her body with the environment and reinforcing the deliberate, unhurried pace she cultivated in the early hours. Each gesture is slow and purposeful, reinforcing the calm rhythm of her morning and inviting you to do the same in your own mind and body. By the time she moves away from the window, the room is infused with the scents, sounds, and gentle motions of the morning. Sunlight has strengthened slightly. The breeze continues to whisper through the curtains, and small leaves remain delicately placed on surfaces, adding a touch of living charm to the serene environment. You might notice a similar sense of ease settling within you, a quiet nudge to bring mindfulness, calm, and gentle curiosity into the day ahead. The soft, deliberate rituals Catherine practiced in the morning light, the careful attention to movement, scent, and light serve as inspiration, encouraging you to move through each moment with thoughtful presence, serenity, and a graceful awareness of the world around you. You find yourself back in the breakfast room, drawn to the subtle warmth of morning light that spills across the table. A small jar of golden honey sits invitingly beside freshly baked bread, catching the sun's rays and glinting like liquid amber. Catherine de Medici reaches for a delicate spoon, letting the viscous honey flow slowly, drizzling over the crisp edges of toast with unhurried care. The honey glistens as it spreads, forming small rivulets that curve and catch the light, each drop shimmering with a warm, comforting glow. It is a simple, everyday act, yet imbued with such intention that the entire scene feels like a meditation in sweetness and softness. Historians record that Catherine incorporated honey into her mornings as a preferred treat, valuing both its flavor and its perceived gentle benefits for the body. She would often take her time, savoring each spoonful, letting it blend naturally with bread, almonds, or fresh fruits. You might imagine the tactile pleasure of the smooth honey coating the soft surface of bread, and the faintly sticky residue that leaves a warm trace on her fingertips, a gentle reminder of the slow, deliberate rhythm of her morning. Each motion is unhurried, designed to nurture both body and spirit, creating a quiet sense of satisfaction that does not rush or demand attention. A lesser-known habit of Catherine's involves the subtle interaction between honey and morning light. She believed that sunlight itself imbued the honey with a kind of natural energy, a gentle vitality that could transfer into the body and mind as the day began. You can picture her tilting her head slightly toward the window, watching as the golden streams catch and bend the soft rays, and feeling the warmth of the morning spread slowly through her hands, plate, and even the faint aroma that rises and mingles with the air. This quiet ritual transforms a simple breakfast into an act of mindfulness and gentle appreciation, as if each droplet of honey carries a whisper of calm energy to be absorbed and savored. The sensory experience of this moment extends beyond taste and sight. The soft aroma of honey blends with the earthy scent of almonds and the subtle fragrance of fresh bread, creating a layered, soothing environment that seems to encourage slow, deep breaths. Even the sound of honey dripping onto the plate, a gentle, almost imperceptible tap, is part of the atmosphere, a small musical note that adds to the serene rhythm of the morning. You might imagine the faint brush of a breeze from an open window carrying these scents across the room, integrating with sunlight and candlelight to create a full, immersive sensory meditation. Catherine's attention to detail continues in the presentation. She arranges the honey-soaked bread neatly on plates, occasionally turning a slice to catch the light differently or adjusting almonds and herbs nearby to enhance the visual and aromatic harmony. Each adjustment is small, almost imperceptible, yet it reflects her careful mindfulness, her desire to create a space and a moment that is fully nourishing, calming, and satisfying. Even in these modest gestures, there is an elegance, a rhythm of care that invites you to slow your own movements and align your awareness with the soft cadence of her morning. The warmth of the room, softened by sunlight and glimmering honey, extends to every corner. Shadows of plates, utensils, and small decorative objects stretch and shift with the light, casting delicate, fluid shapes that seem almost alive. You might notice how Catherine's gaze occasionally shifts to observe these patterns, allowing them to linger in her awareness, fostering a sense of interconnected calm between objects, light, and her own presence. Each small detail, from the sheen of honey to the subtle glint on a silver spoon, contributes to a mindful immersion, an invitation to notice and appreciate the quiet wonders of a morning breakfast. The tactile qualities of honey bring a subtle richness to the morning. You notice its smooth flow as it drips, the slight resistance as it clings to the spoon, and the gentle warmth as it touches the bread, each sensation anchoring you in the present and heightening bodily awareness. Catherine moves with deliberate slowness, allowing each sensory impression to be fully experienced before moving on to the next. Even the simplest gestures, pouring, spreading, tasting, become acts of quiet meditation, inviting careful attention and mindfulness. You might imagine matching her pace, letting your own senses awaken gradually, attuned to textures, aromas, and visual subtleties in your surroundings. Every small detail, the glimmer of light on polished surfaces, the gentle scent of herbs, the soft tactile feedback of objects, becomes a point of focus. Guided by this soft, unhurried rhythm, body and mind settle into a harmonious state, and even ordinary moments transform into deliberate, sensory experiences rich with calm, reflection, and presence. Even the act of tasting the honey is performed with deliberate mindfulness. Each bite is slow, each chew attended to, allowing flavor, texture, and aroma to mingle fully in the senses. Catherine's calm focus transforms the simple act of eating into a gentle meditation, a quiet ceremony that nurtures energy, clarity, and inner peace. You might notice your own awareness deepening, the subtle sweetness evoking calm and satisfaction, inviting your body and mind to relax and savor the gentle pleasures of morning. As the last drizzles of honey are savored, the room glows with warmth and soft light, carrying the echoes of Catherine's deliberate, mindful movements. Sunlight shifts gently across glistening surfaces, while aromas, textures, and visual details linger in harmonious balance. You may feel this calm settle within yourself, the quiet rhythm of her morning guiding slow, intentional breaths, fostering relaxation, and inspiring a gentle, mindful readiness to move gracefully and attentively into the next part of your day. You follow Catherine de' Medici through the quiet corridors of the palace, your steps light and measured, until the gentle murmur of birdsong draws your attention. Through the open windows of the courtyard, you hear the delicate, melodic calls of sparrows, finches, and robins greeting the morning. Their songs weave together in soft harmony, a natural symphony that seems to rise and fall with the gentle breeze. You might notice how the rhythm of their chirping aligns with the slow movement of Catherine's footsteps, each note blending into the serene cadence of her morning ritual. Historians record that Catherine often paused to listen to the birds before her breakfast, finding inspiration and quiet joy in their presence. She would stand near a window or along the courtyard walls, allowing the delicate chorus to fill her senses while she breathed slowly and attentively. Even the faintest trills or rustling wings became part of the rich, sensory tapestry of the morning, connecting her to the life beyond the palace's stone walls and reminding her of the gentle rhythms of nature. You may imagine her tilting her head slightly, smiling as a sparrow hops close by, listening with calm attention to every subtle pitch and pause. A little-known habit of Catherine involved scattering a few grains of cereal or seeds along the windowsill, intentionally inviting the birds closer to the palace. She believed these small offerings brought good fortune and harmony to the day, creating a soft bond between herself and the creatures she admired. You might picture her hand hovering lightly above the sill, letting the grains fall slowly, and then watching as a small finch lands delicately to peck at them, its feathers catching the morning light. The simple act becomes a ritual of attentiveness, gratitude, and gentle observation, enriching both the morning and her connection with the living world around her. The sensory details of the courtyard are rich and layered. You can feel the soft warmth of the sun on your skin as it filters through the branches of carefully tended trees. Leaves sway lightly in the breeze, adding their own whispering accompaniment to the birds singing. The faint scent of dew, grass, and early blooms mingles with the delicate aroma of breakfast from the nearby rooms. Each element, the warmth, the fragrance, the sound of wings and leaves, combines into an immersive experience that encourages slow, deep breathing and a sense of calm awareness. Catherine's movements in this space are deliberate and unhurried. She shifts her weight gently from one foot to the other, adjusts the folds of her gown, or tilts her head to watch a bird flit among the branches. Even these small gestures contribute to the rhythm of the morning, echoing the soft, fluid movements of the birds themselves. You may find your own awareness softening in response, allowing the peaceful tempo of the courtyard to guide your breathing, thoughts, and bodily presence. The world feels larger and slower, yet intimately connected as you share in the quiet observation of a natural spectacle. Light plays a subtle role in this experience. The early sun casts delicate patterns on the stone pathways of the courtyard, illuminating tiny dust particles and the faint iridescence of bird feathers. Shadows stretch slowly, merging with the shapes of trees, leaves, and scattered seeds, creating shifting mosaics across the ground. Catherine watches these movements with soft attentiveness, letting her gaze linger on the play of light and shadow as the birds hop and flutter. Each visual detail adds to the sense of immersion, encouraging an even deeper, more mindful engagement with the surrounding environment. The soundscape is equally layered. The birds' chirping blends with the distant trickle of water from fountains, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the occasional echo of footsteps along the palace hallways. Catherine seems to absorb all these elements simultaneously, integrating them into a gentle rhythm that shapes her morning awareness. You might notice how your own attention naturally slows, tuning into the patterns of sound and movement, allowing each note, whisper, and breath of wind to guide a sense of inner calm. Even as Catherine rises to leave the courtyard and return to her breakfast, her presence seems to linger, quietly attuned to the gentle orchestra she has inhabited. The scattered grains on the ground, the soft fluttering of birds moving from branch to stone, and the subtle rustle of leaves together create a delicate, interactive harmony that permeates the space. Each sound, movement, and shimmer of sunlight contributes to a sensory rhythm that is both calming and engaging, a quiet choreography of nature and intention. You might imagine carrying this same sensation within yourself, a gentle awareness of rhythm, light, and natural beauty that accompanies each inhalation and exhalation. In this way, the courtyard becomes more than a physical space. It transforms into a sanctuary of observation, reflection, and meditation. Even the smallest gestures, the tossing of a grain, the watchful pause to observe a bird's movement, become acts of mindful attention, inviting appreciation for life's simple pleasures. As you leave the imagined courtyard alongside Catherine, you might notice this lingering calm gently shaping your own awareness, fostering presence, serenity, and a quiet delight in the ordinary beauty surrounding you. By the time Catherine steps back through the palace doors, the morning has been enriched by this interplay of light, sound, and movement. The birds continue to sing, and the seeds remain scattered, tiny reminders of a ritual performed with quiet intention and gentle care. You might sense a gentle continuity, a lingering calm that lingers within, and a renewed appreciation for small, mindful gestures. These quiet acts connect you to nature, to your own awareness and to the serene rhythm of a slow, intentional morning, fostering presence, reflection, and a soft, lasting tranquility. You follow Catherine de' Medici as she moves slowly through the palace hallways, each step measured and light, barely disturbing the stillness of the early morning. The marble floors beneath her feet are cool and smooth, reflecting the gentle glow of sunlight filtering through tall windows. Your own footsteps echo softly, though faintly, blending with the subtle hum of palace life, waking at its own gentle pace. The long corridors stretch quietly ahead, lined with tapestries and ornate decorations, each piece casting soft shadows that dance slowly as the day begins. Historians note that Catherine enjoyed walking through these hallways before her breakfast, allowing the slow, deliberate motion to awaken her senses and prepare her mind for the day. She would glide past the tapestries, her gaze lingering on their intricate patterns, occasionally tracing a finger along the carved edges of door frames or banisters. Even the faintest sound of her dress brushing the floor contributed to the calm rhythm of her morning, a soothing accompaniment to the ambient light and temperature of the hall. You might imagine her inhaling deeply, noticing the mingling scents of polished stone, candle wax, and the faint trace of herbs lingering from the night before. A little-known ritual involved Catherine pausing in front of the palace's tall, gilded mirrors. She would observe her own reflection, not with vanity, but with mindful attention, letting the movement of shadows and light across her face become a form of gentle meditation. Sometimes she would tilt her head slightly, adjusting her posture, or softly exhale as if sharing a secret with her own reflection. This subtle practice created a small, private moment of awareness, blending physical presence, visual observation, and inner calm into a singular act of self-reflection. You may notice how this encourages a slower, more deliberate awareness, drawing attention to each detail in motion and fostering a quiet, introspective serenity. The marble corridors are cool to the touch and softly echoing, enhancing the sense of spaciousness. As Catherine walks, the faint sound of her soft-soled shoes gliding across the stone becomes a rhythmic accompaniment to the distant trickle of fountains or the gentle rustle of curtains in adjoining rooms. These muted noises, layered with sunlight and reflections, create a rich sensory environment that encourages the mind to settle into a slow, steady tempo. Even small pauses allowing her gaze to drift to a distant tapestry or a decorative urn serve to deepen her awareness of the space, cultivating a sense of mindfulness and quiet, joy in the simplicity of motion. Light plays a subtle but powerful role in this experience. The sun streams in through tall, narrow windows, casting elongated patterns on the marble floors and gilded moldings. Catherine observes the way her shadow stretches and shifts with each step, sometimes merging with shadows from tapestries or furniture, creating intricate, shifting mosaics. The mirrors occasionally capture these reflections, allowing her to perceive herself in motion from multiple angles. You might imagine the slow awareness this creates, the gentle engagement of sight, balance, and rhythm, all contributing to a mindful, almost meditative walking practice. The sensory interplay of the palace extends subtly yet profoundly. The faint scent of polished stone mingles with lingering traces of incense or the soft, honeyed warmth of candle wax, creating a layered aroma that complements the cool marble beneath Catherine's feet. Each step, each movement, is accompanied by this delicate blend of fragrances, grounding her in the present while inviting a calm attentiveness to the surrounding environment. The quiet, however, is never absolute. Occasionally, it is punctuated by distant sounds, the soft closing of a door, the measured rustle of a page turning in a nearby library, or the faint echo of footsteps along far-off corridors. Yet these moments of auditory life do not disrupt the serenity. Instead, they are absorbed seamlessly, becoming part of the palace's ambient rhythm. Catherine's awareness seems to extend outward, noting and integrating each detail, the interplay of light on marble, the scent in the air, the faintest sounds without breaking the ongoing flow of calm. Every gesture, whether lifting a cup, adjusting a book, or simply pausing to observe, maintains the deliberate, attentive pace, transforming ordinary movements into a continuous meditation that envelops body, mind, and spirit. As she continues along the hallways, her movements remain deliberate, graceful, and unhurried. Each step is an opportunity to notice texture, shadow, and sound, creating a full-bodied awareness of her environment. The combination of marble floors, reflective surfaces, light patterns, and subtle fragrances cultivates a deep, meditative atmosphere, drawing both mind and body into a state of gentle attentiveness. You might feel yourself matching her pace internally, letting your breath slow, your awareness settle, and your mind attune to the understated rhythm of the space. Occasionally, Catherine stops to glance at a distant doorway or a small painting, allowing herself a brief, appreciative pause. These moments, seemingly ordinary, become layered experiences of observation, reflection, and calm. The soft echo of her own footsteps returning after each pause emphasizes the spaciousness and tranquility of the halls, reinforcing the sense of serenity that permeates every corner of the palace. You may notice how the slow pace, combined with the careful observation of surroundings, creates a gentle, grounding presence that supports mental clarity and inner peace. By the time she reaches the end of a hallway, Catherine's senses are awakened yet tranquil, fully present in both body and mind. The hallways, with their polished floors, filtered light, and quiet echoes, have become a space for slow, mindful movement, a gentle bridge from stillness to the morning's unfolding activities. You might sense a gentle settling within yourself, a shared calm and rhythm, as if Catherine's serene footsteps guide you, encouraging mindful awareness, quiet relaxation, and a deeper attunement to the subtle beauty of this slow, unhurried morning. You follow Catherine de' Medici to a quiet corner by the window, where a small wooden table holds a delicate porcelain teacup filled with steaming herbal tea. The sunlight drifts lazily across the room, touching the surface of the tea and making it shimmer softly, as if tiny golden ripples were moving in gentle rhythm. You notice the warmth rising from the cup, carrying a subtle aroma of chamomile, lavender, and mint that mingles with the soft scent of morning air entering through the open window. Each breath feels calming, each sip a gentle invitation to slow down and appreciate the quiet moment. Historians record that Catherine favored herbal teas in the early hours, enjoying their soothing qualities and the opportunity to begin her day with deliberate mindfulness. She would lift the cup slowly, letting the warmth transfer to her fingers, and inhale the fragrance deeply before sipping. The ritual was not hurried. Every action was deliberate, intended to cultivate calm, focus, and a soft awakening of the senses. You may imagine the tiny rise and fall of steam as it touches her face, or the gentle tremor of the cup in her hand as she pauses to appreciate the simple perfection of the morning. A lesser-known habit involved placing a small, fresh flower in the tea. Catherine believed that the presence of the delicate blossom enhanced relaxation, imbuing the tea with a subtle energy that could soothe the mind more fully. You might picture a tiny petal floating on the surface, catching sunlight and shifting with the faint breeze, moving gently with each sip she takes. The combination of warmth, aroma, and visual delicacy creates a layered sensory experience that encourages deep awareness and a sense of grounded presence. Each sip becomes a meditation, a way to taste, see, and breathe in harmony with the slow rhythm of the morning. The window provides more than light. It offers a living connection to the gardens outside. You might notice the soft rustle of leaves, a gentle glint of dew on petals, or the distant flutter of bird wings. These subtle movements create a dynamic background for Catherine's quiet ritual, a reminder of the balance between interior serenity and the lively world beyond. The faint chorus of birds, the shifting patterns of sunlight, and the delicate fragrance of both tea and flowers combine to form a sensory cocoon, a gentle environment that encourages calm reflection and mindful appreciation. Even the act of holding the cup is purposeful. Catherine positions her hands so that the warmth seeps into her palms, and the steam brushes her cheeks, creating a small, intimate space of comfort and awareness. You may imagine the slow inhalation of scents, the careful lifting of the cup to her lips, and the soft exhale that follows each sip. These actions become a sequence of gentle, rhythmic movements, fostering calm and reinforcing a sense of presence, as if every detail of the ritual were designed to anchor the mind in the stillness of the morning. The texture and color of the tea also play a subtle role. The clear liquid, tinged lightly with golden hues from herbs or petals, contrasts softly with the porcelain cup, catching the light and inviting contemplation. You might notice the minute ripples when she stirs the tea gently, the quiet clink of the spoon against the cup, or the slow dissolution of a petal drifting downward. Each small movement adds to the meditative atmosphere, combining visual, auditory, and tactile elements into a holistic experience of calm. Catherine often pairs the tea with a simple accompaniment, a slice of bread, a few almonds, or a piece of fruit arranged carefully on a small plate. The act of selecting and placing these items is deliberate, adding another layer of sensory engagement. You might imagine the soft crunch of almonds, the gentle fragrance of honeyed bread, and the subtle sweetness of fruit mingling with the herbal notes of tea, creating a harmonious, multi-sensory moment that is both grounding and soothing. The surrounding room enhances this experience. Sunlight filters through curtains, casting soft shadows on the table and floor. The walls, adorned with tapestries and paintings, reflect muted patterns of light that shift slowly with the day. Each object, each beam of light, and each soft sound contributes to the overall rhythm of the morning. You may notice how the slow unfolding of these details draws attention gently outward from the teacup, yet keeps focus tethered to the immediate moment, a practice in mindfulness that is as subtle as it is powerful. As Catherine finishes her tea, the warm cup remains in her hand for a moment, allowing the last heat to seep into her fingers and palms. You may sense the lingering fragrance, the soft glow of sunlight on the liquid surface, and the gentle, meditative cadence of her morning unfolding. Each sip, each aroma, each ripple of steam reinforces a calm awareness that prepares her for the next moments of the day. The tea ritual, with its warmth, softness, and delicate detail, embodies a peaceful, attentive approach to mornings, offering a gentle guide for your own senses to follow. The combination of tea, light, and the subtle activity of the gardens outside creates a space that feels alive yet profoundly tranquil. You may notice your own breath slowing, your body relaxing, and your mind settling into a soft, attentive state. Catherine's ritual becomes more than a morning habit. It is an invitation to engage with the present, to savor simple pleasures, and to cultivate calm, mindful awareness. The gentle warmth of the teacup, its subtle fragrance, and the quiet attentiveness to the surrounding world create a soothing rhythm, calming body and mind and establishing the serene, unhurried tone that carries softly through the rest of the morning. You drift quietly through the palace corridors, allowing your senses to absorb the delicate sounds that fill the space. The faint creak of a door swinging closed, the soft patter of footsteps in distant halls, and the gentle trickle of water from a nearby fountain create a layered soundscape that seems almost musical in its subtlety. Catherine de' Medici moves calmly among these textures, attuning herself to every nuance, letting each whisper of sound contribute to the slow, deliberate rhythm of her morning. You may notice how even the softest echoes become part of a natural symphony, coaxing your attention to settle gently and mindfully, Historians record that Catherine often dedicated a few minutes each morning to simply listening to the palace, to its quiet moments between activity, and to the interplay of natural and human sounds. These times were not hurried or structured. They were a gentle form of meditation, a way to sense the world with full presence and calm curiosity. She would stand in a corridor, near a window or a fountain, letting the soft noises rise and fall around her, noticing how each sound interacted with the next, and feeling a subtle sense of harmony. The small echoes, distant voices, and gentle movement of objects provided a quiet rhythm that grounded her awareness and prepared her mind for the day ahead. A little-known practice of Catherine's involved focusing on how silence and sound combined. She believed that moments of gentle stillness, punctuated by soft noises, helped organize thoughts and offered clarity before engaging in the day's activities. You might picture her pausing mid-step, listening intently as a curtain sways and whispers, or as sunlight strikes a polished surface, producing a faint musical reflection. Even the tiniest noises, the tapping of a spoon, a whisper of paper, or the distant hum of palace servants moving about, were noticed with a calm, attentive presence. Each one became a gentle signal of life and rhythm, harmonizing with her internal awareness. The architecture of the palace adds its own voice to this gentle soundscape. Tall ceilings and stone walls allow echoes to linger softly, elongating footsteps and light taps into calming reverberations. Tapestries absorb some of the sounds, creating a muted warmth that softens the overall environment. The faint hum of distant activity, perhaps a door closing, the soft shuffle of fabric, or a creaking hinge integrates seamlessly into the natural rhythm of the morning. You may notice how this combination of subtle reverberation and ambient noise forms a gentle, enveloping environment that encourages slow breathing, deep awareness, and relaxed attention. Water features, common in the palace gardens and courtyards, extend their soothing influence indoors. Catherine often paused near a small fountain or an open window with a distant view of flowing water. The sound of water trickling over stone adds a soft, continuous melody beneath the occasional discrete noises of footsteps or doors. You might imagine the gentle patter of droplets, the small splash as water lands, and the slight change in pitch as it flows over different surfaces. These sounds create a natural cadence that synchronizes effortlessly with her breathing and subtle movements, reinforcing a sense of calm and continuity. Even the human presence in the palace contributes to the quiet harmony. The muted shuffle of servants moving gracefully in the background, the occasional faint murmur of a conversation far away, and the rhythmic clinking of utensils during breakfast preparations all blend into the overall soundscape. Catherine receives these sounds without distraction, integrating them into her mindful awareness as subtle reminders of life's ongoing rhythm. You may feel your own awareness expand gently, noticing the layers of soft sounds around you, and letting them guide your attention to a state of relaxed presence. The spatial and acoustic qualities of the palace encourage gentle exploration. Walking through corridors, past archways, and along polished stone floors, Catherine experiences a rich tapestry of sound that shifts subtly with her position and movement. The same footstep may echo differently depending on where she stands. A gust of air may cause curtains to whisper in unique ways. Each variation, however small, is noticed with attentive curiosity, forming a slow, contemplative rhythm that is both grounding and soothing. You might imagine how the soft acoustic textures allow your mind to follow without effort, simply observing, listening, and absorbing as the morning unfolds. Catherine moves gracefully from room to room, attuned to the subtle interplay of textures, light, and sound that fills the palace. The gentle hum of distant activity, the murmur of servants, the soft clink of utensils, the whisper of flowing water forms a delicate backdrop, allowing her thoughts to settle into a quiet, rhythmic flow. Each subtle noise, from the trickle of a fountain to the rustle of curtains, becomes a gentle anchor, drawing her into the present. She notices sunlight shifting across polished surfaces, shadows stretching and folding, and the faint aromas of herbs, wax, and morning preparations. Every movement is deliberate, attentive, and mindful, transforming ordinary gestures into serene, meditative rituals that nurture both body and mind. You might sense the same serene cadence within yourself, as if her unhurried pace and thoughtful attentiveness extend outward, influencing your own body and mind. Your muscles relax, your breath lengthens, and your awareness shifts naturally to the present moment. In this quiet, deliberate rhythm, each sound, texture, and scent invites reflection, grounding you in a calm, meditative awareness that mirrors the gentle, restorative flow of Catherine's morning dot as she readies to leave. The palace feels alive yet calm, its sounds, shadows, and light forming a continuous, immersive rhythm. You might notice how the awareness of subtle sound deepens your own relaxation, fostering a soft sense of connection with the palace, the morning, and the unhurried unfolding of a tranquil day. You step into the softly lit dining room, where sunlight streams through tall windows, casting gentle rays across the table set with polished silverware. The delicate gleam of spoons, forks, and plates catches your eye, reflecting light in tiny, shifting patterns that dance slowly across the tabletop. Catherine de' Medici moves with quiet attentiveness, arranging items just so, her fingers brushing lightly against the cool metal as if savoring the sensation. The polished surfaces reflect not only light, but the serene stillness of the morning, offering moments of quiet contemplation for both body and mind. Historical records indicate that Catherine paid meticulous attention to every detail of her breakfast table, from the arrangement of plates to the subtle placement of utensils. She considered the visual presentation as important as the flavors and aromas of the meal itself. You might imagine her adjusting the angle of a spoon to catch the light perfectly, or tilting a fork so that its reflection forms a delicate pattern on the tablecloth. Each adjustment, no matter how small, contributes to the harmonious atmosphere of her morning ritual, reinforcing a sense of order, balance, and gentle aesthetic pleasure. A lesser-known practice involved placing a small crystal on the table. Catherine would observe how sunlight passed through the gem, refracting into subtle colors that shifted with the day's changing light. She believed these tiny bursts of color brought a calming, peaceful energy to the space, and sometimes she would watch them for several minutes, letting the soft, multicolored reflections soothe her mind and spirit. You may picture a tiny spectrum of light falling across a plate, sparkling faintly and moving slowly as the sun shifts. A private display that adds a quiet layer of enchantment to the morning dot. The reflections in silverware are constantly changing, responding to subtle movements, variations in light, and the soft breath of air passing through open windows. Catherine notices these shifts with delicate attention, appreciating the interplay between form, surface, and illumination. You might feel drawn into this calm observation yourself, watching the reflections flicker, ripple, and shimmer with a gentle rhythm that mirrors the slow unfolding of the morning. Even the faintest movement, a hand reaching for a cup, a plate being adjusted, a spoon tapping, lightly becomes part of this quietly dynamic tableau. The room's other details contribute to this tranquil environment. Fine porcelain, delicate glassware, and softly woven table linens create layers of texture that interact subtly with the polished silver. Sunlight, glancing off the surfaces, produces gentle patterns that shift almost imperceptibly, a visual symphony of calm. You may notice how your eyes follow these slow transformations, how your attention naturally slows, and how your breathing begins to harmonize with the rhythm of light and reflection. Every small detail is observed with patient care, fostering a deep sense of serenity and focus. Catherine's ritual extends beyond visual enjoyment. She combines the tactile and the visual, lifting a warm cup, feeling its smooth surface against her hands, while watching the tiny reflections play across the table. Each movement is deliberate, unhurried, and mindful, connecting her to the present moment in a way that is gentle, grounding, and restorative. Even the arrangement of food, slices of bread, fruit, or small pastries, is considered, each element contributing to the balance and beauty of the table, and enhancing the sensory richness of the morning. You might imagine the quiet harmony of the room, the soft clink of silverware as it is moved, the faint scent of fresh bread mingling with herbs and tea, the slight rustle of curtains in the gentle morning breeze. All these details combine into a layered, immersive experience that guides attention softly outward and inward simultaneously, allowing for a meditative appreciation of light, texture, and rhythm. Even the smallest gestures, the way a spoon is adjusted or the way sunlight falls across a plate, carry significance in this slow, attentive practice. The crystal on the table continues to refract sunlight into soft, shifting colors. Catherine's eyes follow the movement patiently, letting each hue wash gently over her awareness. The slow, rhythmic changes in light, the delicate reflections in polished silver, and the subtle movements of utensils create a calming visual meditation, a sensory anchor that encourages the mind to rest lightly in the present. You may notice how your own attention softens, following the patterns without effort, allowing each small detail to draw you into a state of quiet contemplation. As Catherine finishes her breakfast, the room retains a lingering sense of her attentive, deliberate morning rituals. The interplay of light and reflections continues to shimmer across the polished surfaces, a quiet reminder of the care she invests in each moment. Sunlight drifts gently through the windows, catching on silverware, glass, and plates, creating tiny, meditative glints that draw the eye and invite a pause for observation. You might imagine the soft patter of her footsteps as she moves down the hall, gradually fading into the subtle rhythm of the palace. Even after she leaves, the atmosphere remains alive with calm energy, the faint warmth of sunlight on the table, the delicate scent of tea, honey, and herbs lingering in the air, and the soft interplay of shadows and reflective surfaces. These small sensory details act as anchors for the mind, encouraging a gentle awareness, mindful presence, and inner stillness. In this serene environment, the careful, unhurried pace of Catherine's morning continues to resonate, leaving a subtle impression of calm and thoughtful attentiveness. By observing reflections, Catherine creates a serene, meditative rhythm. Each glint of light, positioned utensil, and crystal refraction, fostering calm, focus, and gentle preparation for the day ahead. You might feel your own body respond, shoulders softening, breath slowing, and awareness settling gently, as the quiet beauty of polished silver and shifting light becomes a gentle guide toward peaceful calm. The final moments of the morning unfold softly, and you follow Catherine de Medici as she lifts her teacup for one last warm sip. The sunlight has mellowed into gentle gold, brushing the edges of the palace garden with tender warmth. You might notice the leaves swaying lightly in the breeze, the petals glistening with dew, and the distant songs of birds echoing faintly through the open windows. The air carries the subtle fragrance of herbs, honey, and soft earth, creating an atmosphere of calm that seems to wrap the entire palace in tranquility. Catherine's movements are unhurried, each gesture placing the cup down, adjusting a page of her small diary, glancing at a reflection in polished silver, is deliberate, mindful, and imbued with gentle attention. Historians note that Catherine often concluded her morning routine by writing a few pages in her personal journal, capturing reflections, thoughts, and fleeting impressions of the day's start. This quiet act of recording not only allowed her to preserve memories, but also served as a gentle meditation, helping to settle her mind and create a subtle sense of order and calm. You may imagine her pen moving slowly across delicate parchment, the faint scratching blending harmoniously with the soft murmurs of the palace. Each line, each word, becomes a gentle pulse of presence, a way to engage fully with the serenity that surrounds her. A lesser-known custom was that Catherine believed in writing even a few words as a way to harmonize the mind before moving on to other daily activities. She considered this small, reflective ritual as a method of cultivating inner peace, ensuring that both thoughts and spirit were aligned with the gentle rhythm of the morning. You may picture the sunlight catching the ink as she writes, tiny shadows forming and dissolving across the paper, adding a layer of quiet magic to the scene. The practice is intimate, private, and tender, inviting both her and anyone imagining her routine to slow, breathe, and simply be present. The garden outside seems almost alive in its gentle quietness. The leaves murmur with every soft breeze. The grass bends slightly beneath early sunlight, and distant flowers nod as if acknowledging the rhythm of the morning. Catherine often walks slowly along the stone paths, her footsteps muted against the gravel, absorbing the scents and colors around her. A combination of movement, fragrance, and sound creates a meditative flow, a gentle wave that encourages your own senses to soften and settle. You may notice how your breathing naturally slows as you envision her stroll, and how the quiet interplay of sensory details brings a sense of grounding and ease. The palace itself seems to sigh with the rhythm of the morning. Curtains flutter gently. A door clicks softly as it closes somewhere far away, and the faint glimmer of silverware catches the fading light. These subtle touches weave together an atmosphere of calm, reinforcing the delicate balance between interior stillness and exterior beauty. Each small sound, each ray of light, and each movement of nature becomes part of a gentle, ongoing symphony that invites both Catherine and the listener to settle into the tranquility of the present moment. As she pauses by a flowering shrub, Catherine gazes at the delicate blooms and inhales the aroma of early petals. You may picture the faint dew on the leaves, the slow shimmer of sunlight on their edges, and the tiny insects moving with unhurried grace. Even in their smallness, every detail carries a sense of purpose, beauty, and calm, a subtle reminder that quiet observation nurtures awareness and gentle energy. The measured rhythm of her steps, the soft whisper of the wind, and the distant murmur of life beyond the palace gates weave together into a gentle, unhurried cadence. This subtle harmony invites your mind to align with the same slow, attentive pace, encouraging calm awareness, steady breathing, and a mindful presence that mirrors the serene, deliberate rhythm of Catherine's morning, allowing each moment to unfold with quiet grace. Now, as the light softens further and the birds' melodies become hushed whispers, you can imagine yourself walking alongside Catherine through the quiet garden paths. The air is cool but tender, carrying the earthy scent of flowers and the lingering aroma of tea. Leaves rustle softly beneath your feet, and the garden seems to stretch gently into infinite calm. With each inhale, you draw in tranquility. With each exhale, you release tension. The world slows, the palace settles into stillness, and every detail, the shimmer of dew, the warmth of sunlight, the gentle murmur of life, guides you toward a profound sense of serenity. The morning continues to drift in slow, golden waves. You sit or lie comfortably, feeling your body melt into soft relaxation. The last warmth from your imagined cup of tea lingers in your palms. Your shoulders soften, and your breathing becomes gentle and steady. Imagine Catherine placing her pen down and closing her journal, each movement tender and deliberate, a quiet punctuation to the serene rhythm of the morning. Outside, the garden exhales softly. The petals sway, the leaves whisper, and the air hums with calm energy. You are here with her, gently observing, letting each small detail flow into your mind without effort. The faint glimmer of silver, the sparkle of dew, the subtle fragrance of herbs, all of it becomes a lullaby for your senses. Allow your eyelids to grow heavier, your thoughts to slow, and your body to sink into the softness around you. Each breath is an invitation to rest more deeply. With the palace hushed, the garden serene, and golden light softening into warmth. Allow yourself to drift, completely releasing tension, welcoming calm, and fully embracing the gentle, peaceful rhythm of the moment. End of script. Thank you for listening, everyone.